All right, here we are for the start of the men's race, and we're off. So Andrew was actually starting the race, so he'll be back shortly. So for the men's field, it's pretty open. Probably one of the first times, at least in my recollection, that it's been so tight at the front between two, potentially even three teams. Dal, UNB, Santa Fe, all in the mix to take the team title. Dal is your defending champs, but graduated a lot of runners last year. And, yeah, so it's pretty open between those three for the team title. On the individual side, we have lots of runners contending for that title. In my opinion, it's probably a two-person race between Jared House from UNB and Jacob Benoit, now from Dalhousie, but formerly from Santa Fe. The two of them are probably your top two, at least rankings coming in. That doesn't necessarily mean they will be the top two. Outside of that, there are a variety of other athletes such as Jack O'Connell, Luke Gallant, Joel Gallant from Santa Fe. From Dalhousie, you have Aiden Goslett, Nick Robertson. From UNB, you also have other runners such as Will Boyle, Ben Perrett, Mitch Keene. There's lots of athletes that are in contention to take this one today and to finish high up for their teams. Speaking of defending champs, as I said, defending team champs are Dow. Defending individual champ has graduated, and he's sitting right beside me. So we'll have a new champion on the men's side. There's no former AUS winners in the field, or AUS cross country at least, I should say. So it'll be a first-time AUS championship for somebody.
Absolutely. I mean, Jared House has been running well all season, and I would, if there was betting on the race, I would likely go towards betting on him. But Jacob Benoit is no one to be slept on. He is a extremely good cross-country runner, and as someone that's run against him for years, he always put himself in the mix, and he always just knows where to be. Similar to how we were saying his sister Eileen Benoit was a very smart cross-country runner. Jacob is a very smart cross-country runner himself. So this should be, as Alex was saying, a very good race, and be curious to see how it goes. I noticed, I was just starting the race over there, I noticed there's a mixture of teams wearing flats as opposed to spikes for this course, which given how rocky and hard this course can be, I don't blame them. It was interesting to see the mixture of UMB opted for spikes today, but Dalhousie and St. FX both opted for flat. So we'll see if that has any effect on them.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like my final year in the AUS, my final AUS championship was also on this course actually, and the same thing. It was kind of half and half. I wore flats every time I raced this course. I found that it was better, and there's not a lot of grass in this course, so I was comfortable wearing flats. Some people choose spikes. Kind of depends.
Absolutely, it's a tough one to decide on here because like the little bit on grass you do want the spikes, but like you said, it's a very hard course otherwise, like hard in terms of the ground. So, flats may end up saving your legs a little bit more by the end of this, but yeah.
Okay, so the photo we're going to see now again is that delayed shot. You can just kind of see all the runners coming through. Pretty bunched up, although there is a select group already. Kind of a lead pack has developed earlier on than on the women's side, with a variety of teams represented in that kind of lead group.
Back to the woods where it's certain to be bunched up in there, and especially where it does get narrow at times in the woods as well. It's definitely possible people just get packed up and a little bit of pushing going on in there. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that was a case today, but it does look to be a bit more spread out than the women were at the start of theirs. So looks like someone at the lead pack is pushing that pace along. And definitely.
If I was a betting man, I would probably venture to say that might be Jared House. He is known for going to the front and pushing from the front, as you very well know.
Absolutely.
He's not afraid to lead, and he's the type of guy who could lead this thing from start to finish. Would not shock me in the slightest.
No, for sure, and I think you hit it right there when you said he loves to go out and take that lead, and that's just his normal go-to strategy. My concern if I were Jared is just is it that well known that the other runners are going to predict that, or and will they will someone like Jacob Benoit save their energy for the end? But Jacob also tends to be a front runner going hard from the gun, so I wouldn't I wouldn't be shocked to see those two going at it with each other, just going toe to toe, throwing surges in at each other throughout the race. But we'll get a better idea when they come around for the second lap as to who is the injection of pace right now. But I think Alex was right in saying it will likely be Jared.
So as I had mentioned previously, those top two, Jared House and Jacob Benoit, have, for the most part this year, separated themselves as the two top contenders to take this title. But outside of that, it is very open. All the way from third down to 10th to 12th really is interchangeable. In my opinion, Jack O'Connell is a serious threat to be third today, if not better. He's a second-year athlete who was highly touted coming out of high school, and in his first year last year at St. FX, he, I would say, had somewhat of an underwhelming year relative to his potential. Just dealt with some injuries and some different issues, but he is looking great this year.
Okay, it does not appear to be Jared
So it's not
or
Jared.
Jacob.
Interesting. So as I was just talking about him, Jack O'Connell is right at the front right now.
And as we say that, Jared House seems to be making his way up there as well.
The other athlete that's pushing at the front right now is Joel Gallant. So Joel Gallant is the younger brother of the two Gallant brothers. Luke Gallant is in his final AUS race today. Outstanding career at St. FX. His younger brother Joel is actually coming off of being seriously hurt. He was wheeling around a year ago at this meet. He was wheeling around in a boot, essentially, and he was unable to run at all. And in 1 year, he has turned it around, and he is now at the front of the AUS Cross Country Championships.
And even if he doesn't finish in that top five, group, what have you, it's still remarkable just to see where like Alex saying, where he was last year to where he's gotten to today is just it's incredible, really. And still just to even be in that top 10, even that conversation of top 10, top 7, it's from being wheeling around it last year's is amazing.
Exactly. And so like I had said, it really separated out a lot more quickly on the men's side. Looks like representation from kind of every team up front right now. UNB, Dallas, St. FX, St. Mary's and Roy McGarvey. Levi Moulton also should be up there, I would imagine, from Memorial.
Nous avons quelques des Aigles Bleus de l'Université de Moncton à le dos de cette groupe. And it should be interesting because they did definitely spread out much more than the women, but doesn't look like anyone's now making any big moves to try to break anyone early on, which we have seen people try to do in the past. I myself am guilty of it, of some AUS as well. But it doesn't look like it looks like the X-Men are content in just holding their group together, which is you have to assume that's their strategy, is that they have a large group of themselves that are close to each other, and that they seem to have the confidence that they can surprise some people in the standings, and that's what I'm assuming their goal is for the day. So good on them. We'll see if that works out for them.
Exactly. St. FX has a strong group that are very tightly packed in Luke, Joel, Jack, and Griffin Gamble, also a first-year athlete. So that group, if they can roll together and kind of move up through the field, could put St. FX in a good position.
Absolutely, and I actually had some stats compiled before this race from one of my teammates or former teammates, and St. FX. Well, UMB is ranked quite highly in the U Sports standings. St. FX isn't too far behind them, and on the statistics based off of previous results of this season, St. FX is actually not all that far behind UNB as far as it may seem in the standings. So it'll definitely, similar to how the women's race was exciting to watch, I'm sure the men's equally will be as well.
So on the men's side, we do have two teams that are currently ranked in the top 10 in the country. So UNB comes in at 6th ranking in the country, and St. FX is 9th. But again, as Andrew said, they're fairly close. And when it's a smaller field like this, lower sticks mean more. There's not as much separation as there's less athletes, so it will be tight here.
So Jared House has appeared to move up to the front alongside Joel Gallant. So it looks like those two are leaders, at least as of a couple minutes ago from this shot that we have. Now currently at live they're in the woods, but this shot gives you an idea of where they were at close to halfway.
So this race is going to go by quick. We'd be at 3K at least at this point, and they're going to very soon be coming by us again here as they round their second lap. Are you surprised at all that Jared didn't go immediately to the front? I just know he loves to run from the front. Maybe it's a tactic. I'm not sure.
I think so. I mean, having raced him last year, I know he really went for it on his own last year, and certainly, again, just last year, he did pay for that on the last lap, and I'm just thinking he might have that in mind, and just, he's a competitor, right? So every race he's in, he wants to win, and I can safely say that, having raced him many times and having lost to him as well before, he's a smart runner and he knows what he needs to do to win. And I suspect he's probably taking the tactic today of don't worry for time, don't worry for anything else, just go simply for the win, whatever you have to do to take that.
Yeah, this would be a huge title for him. He's been successful his whole time in the AUS so far, but he has not at this point won an AUS cross-country title. So
no, so
it'd be big.
Like you mentioned beforehand, we have the second and third place finishers from last year, and Jacob Benoit and Jared. And you know what? I think whatever's going to happen today, it's going to be an exciting finish. And I think we're going to have a new AUS champion today, so that'll be exciting on its own. Previously mentioned, there's definitely a strong group behind those leaders, and so I think that is probably why you're seeing a bit of injection of pace right now. Is they were all hanging around each other, and some people probably don't want that. You have some strong runners in Joel Gallant, like you mentioned, Levi Moulton, Rory McGarvey, and Will Boyle, and so if the leaders can help it, they'll probably try to avoid that happening, because why leave the guys in the race until the very end. And I think
so. It is Jared and Jacob have separated themselves. Again, not shocking. I think these are our two favorites. They're stride for stride right now.
Yeah, you can see Jared starting to take that drafting position behind Jacob Benoit down here along the water, which might be strategic on his part.
So behind them we have Joel Gallant currently in third, still running very well. Back and forth is Jack O'Connell, I believe, and Will Boyle, followed by Rory McGarvey. And then a contingent of Dow runners with Nick Robertson and Aiden Goslett. Aiden Goslett's an interesting one. He's a guy that has speed. He's got wheels. That guy he's more of a 1K 1500 runner, but if he's near them at all in the end of the race, his kick could
absolutely
be huge.
It's dangerous. He's not someone you want near you at the end, especially where you have a lot of longer distance guys that maybe don't have that same speed that he has. So
exactly.
He would be a huge threat around you near the finish line, and so that'll be an interesting battle on its own in today.
Well, here Maxim is coming through right now for Dalhousie. Looking good. Yeah, the team battle's going to be tight.
Oh, it will. It's going to be exciting at the end, because there hasn't, unlike last time where you had one team that was just dominant right from the start and stayed that way. We don't really quite have that yet. There are quite a few UNB runners, but X hasn't put themselves out of that title race just yet. They still have a number of runners as well. So that's going to be exciting to see how that plays out.
Absolutely. And then you can't count out Dow as well. They have that low stick with Jacob, who likely is going to be a 1 or a 2. and then they have experienced guys behind him.
Exactly. You can't count out Nick Robertson ever in a race like this. I mean, he can always knows where to put himself, and you know what, he's a good runner, and even on an off day, he's gonna be in a good spot. So.
Yeah, he's a guy I imagine is a lock for the top 10, probably higher, and so it's gonna be tight. Like each team kind of has 3 or 4 guys who have those 3 teams have 3 or 4 guys who have a very good chance of being in the top 10. It's going to come down to your 4th and 5th guys today.
Yeah, and that's where the team aspect of this that we're talking about in the women's race really comes into play. Is, you know, you can have someone in first, second, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to win that team title. You need your 4th and 5th runners to perform on the day as well, because they count as well to your score.
Absolutely, and you nailed it there with, like, your 5th guy matters so much at this point. If you can have 4 guys in the top 10, but if your 5th isn't even in the top 30, you're not gonna win.
I mean, if you think about it from a team perspective, really, it could even matter more than the top guy, because the top guy, you're gonna, you know, in this case, you're gonna be finishing first, second, or third likely, or somewhere along there, and there's gonna be a difference of, you know, 2, maybe 1 to 3 points, but that 5th runner back in the mix with the large pack is where you can make up, you know, 5, 6 points, which is gonna help the team more in the end.
Yeah, there's a very good chance that the podium could be a member from one of each of those teams, with UNB, Dal, and Santa Fe.
Exactly.
So they kind of just cancel each other out,
exactly.
really. So it's really going to come down to the depth pieces for people. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Now, Jared House has really injected some pace, it looks like, into this now. It looks like they've opened up quite the gap on the other people that were in that lead pack with them, and it looks like these 2 are simply by themselves. So I'll be curious to see how that plays out. He still has quite a bit of race left, so we'll see how.
Yeah, so as you can see from the shot right now, Jared is clearly the one pushing, but Jacob's so strong. He's not the type of guy who's just gonna fall off of someone. So it's gonna be close. I don't know if Jacob will kind of counter him if Jared's been pushing most of the race.
And Jacob's one that you never really like to have behind you, because you know he will run himself into the ground. He's a tough runner, so he is someone that will simply not give up. If he thinks he's in the race, he will not give up on that.
He's also has a very calm and collected demeanor about him, and I find he's very hard to read in races too. It's tough to tell if he's hurting, if he's feeling good. He's just very, very composed. Whereas I find Jared shows that he's working a little bit more in his face, where Jacob just looks smooth and calm and composed. But that's just different styles, and not necessarily one is better than the other.
No, for sure. No, we'll see as they come around now what's playing out. Still 2 more laps to go once they come around. So, again, plenty of race left. And almost, it looks like Jacob Benoit's now taking the lead coming down the hill now. Mistake. I believe I said they had 2 laps to go, when really they are going on to their last lap with this turnaround.
Yeah. So we'd be past 5K at this point, nearing 6K, and it's Jacob on the front now. So Jacob Benoit is on the front, and I can't tell if there's a gap there. I guess we'll see when he comes by in front of us right now. So he's pushing. Jacob Benoit is opening a little gap on Jared House.
You know
and
what?
Jared's looking at his watch, which I don't know what he's looking at this point.
It's starting to open up even more as well. I think, you know what? I think Jacob sees his opportunity, and he's going to try to take that for what it's worth right now.
Yeah, that's huge. I would have thought that Jared would have been the aggressor more. Will Boyle is in third.
This is and he's opened up quite the gap as well. He's running a
What a
great
race from Will Boyle right now. Like, I mean, I know he's a good runner, but I wouldn't have pegged him as the out-and-out favorite for the bronze. Next, we have Jack O'Connell in fourth, followed by Rory McGarvey in fifth.
And Joel Gallant in sixth. And this is quite the race from
And
these guys.
And in seventh, it's Levi Moulton. So Levi Moulton's also been around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And he is consistently, he's always there. It is.
Yeah.
And being from Memorial, he kind of gets forgotten sometimes. They don't come to every race, but he shows up when it matters.
He's someone you know is gonna be ready on race day. This is the gap seems to have stopped growing significantly between Jacob and Jared. So we'll see if Jared starts to try to reel that back in, or if that's as much as it's gonna be.
So in terms of the team competition, it's tight.
UMB has the low sticks, but X has that pack right behind them waiting. So it's gonna be. There's no outright winner right now at this point going into the last lap. What I think will be telling for Jacob is see how he handles the hills, because the first half of the loop is very hilly. That is where you have most of your elevation hit you. And then if you can make it up to that top of the hill, then you can really cruise down for the second half.
Yeah, I'd venture to say if he can get over that hill with the lead, then I think he can hold it.
Exactly. He's a very smooth runner, and so as long as his stride doesn't get broken up too much by this elevation, but I think you nailed it right there.
And in terms of their strategies, for me it makes sense for Jacob to make a move earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think when it comes to a kick, I would give Jared the edge.
For sure. He's got that speed at the end of a race that, you either have to break it very early from him, or you just have to hope that you can outkick him at the end. And I think, someone like Aiden Gossip maybe, but again, in a longer style race like this, I don't think there's too many that have the same speed that he does. So I think Jacob's running a very smart race right now.
So it looks like he is stretching that gap. Jared's not going away, but it's definitely not over.
No, and with someone like Jacob, while he doesn't have the same speed, he's someone you still need to close that before the end of the race. A gap like that you can't leave to the last few hundred
absolutely
meters.
not. If Jared can't get back in touch with him here soon, I think Jacob may run away with this.
I think it'll be very telling when we see them pop out of the woods, and we'll get a really good idea for whether Jared's been able to close that gap or whether it might be Jacob Benoit's year. And here we're just going to flip back to that view from just a couple minutes ago to give you an idea of where the positions are lying right now.
So that's a few seconds. Like, no question. That gap is probably 3 to 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Could be more now that they're back in the woods.
And to close that on the last lap is going to be tough. Now, I mean, it's definitely in the realm of possibility for Jared, but he's going to have an incredible last lap to close that.
And I find from my experience, when you're on the front like that, closing in on the finish and you're leading, you have this sort of momentum that you can carry into the finish line.
He has that kind of confidence. He has that renewed energy.
So Will Boyle was still in third.
And then we get a view.
The gap from third to back to fourth is also significant. Will Boyle might take this bronze medal.
Absolutely.
That should be a great race from him.
It looks like.
Trying to count numbers right now.
Just taking a look. I think Jacob Benoit has left the woods. Is it? Yeah. Just trying to get an idea of where this individual title lies right now, and I think.
So this is back to live shots now. So, as previously stated, Jacob Benoit has a small gap on Jared House, followed by Will Boyle. And then we have a contingent of Santa Fax.
Looks like that gap has actually started to open now. It just coming out of the woods. Now we have a clear view of them.
Benoit's going to take this, I think.
I think it's going to be his year. I think Jared's.
Yeah.
I don't see him. Oh, there he is. And I think reminiscent of last year. I think he's just burned himself a little too much before the last lap. He seems to be quite too much of a gap, I think, to make up now, I think.
This is huge for Jacob.
This will be – he's been trying out for so many years, and he's always put himself up in that top group. So it'll be –
and as I stated earlier, he spent the last 4 years at St. FX and recently graduated and is now in an MBA at Tallahassee, and he's going to take this.
And here he comes.
So your 2023 AUS
and you know what? He ran a real smart race, and it's paid dividends, so congratulations to him.
This is a dominant win. I'm very impressed. He
Absolutely.
ran this so smart, and well-deserved win.
Yeah, took what House had to throw at him and still took the win. We have Jared come in, and
so Jared's going to cross in second.
Yeah.
It's a good run from him still.
It is.
Another second-place finish. I'm sure not what he wanted today, but it's still a great run.
Absolutely.
He's going to be good at Nationals, too.
I'll be excited to see what they run at U Sports because these are two phenomenal runners.
What place was Jared last year at U Sports?
I believe.
Was he 7th or was he?
You were
7th.
I was 7th. I believe he was 8th or 9th, I believe. He was 8th because Jacob was 11th, and he was in between us.
Yeah, Will Boyle is coming in for third. Will Boyle's going to get this.
And Levi Moulton, though, running him down from the back, coming from far away.
I don't know. Is Will Boyle going to hang on?
It looks like he's got enough of a gap.
Joel Gallant with a great run in for 4th.
Oh, that's got to feel good for Joel.
Oh. And then into 5th, Levi. Yeah, that's a great run for both of them. 6th, we have Jack O'Connell.
Followed by Rory McGarvey of St. Mary's, making a first-team All-Star for the first time for him. And then two more UMB runners.
I'm assuming that's Ben.
Ben Parrott and Isaac Call, it would appear.
Isaac Call, that's a good run from him, too. I think UMB's going to take this title. I just have a tough time figuring out how the math.
We have the rest of the X runners coming in right now.
This is going to be tight. Luke Gallant, great run.
There's...
In behind Luke is another St. FX runner.
I believe I saw Griffin Gamble.
There's Griffin Gamble finishing.
And then there's the other UMB runner. So all UMB and X runners, I believe, all scoring runners
are in.
So this is.
Can anyone do quick math? It's tight. It's a two-team race at this point.
Nick Robertson from Dalhousie.
Yeah, we need some quick math. Anyone?
This is gonna be close. I think X, even if they don't end up getting the title, I think they're going to be surprise people.
Yeah, even if X ends up being second here today, I think this is a really good team performance from them.
Yeah, I think that they have a lot of guys that haven't run U Sports this year, aren't quite as seasoned as some of the UMB runners. So I know I think some people weren't quite expecting the hype that was around the X team, but you know what? They're living up to it right now.
Absolutely, and that Joel Gallant to come in for 4th is huge. That is, you want some motivation? There it is.
Oh.
A year ago, he was not running, and he just came 4th.
I know I've said it a few times, but that's just amazing on his part. That comeback, it just shows that if you really want it bad enough, you can get that.
So I'm hoping we can get some live results very shortly to let you know the team outcome. Again, it's very tight. And the individual results are in. If I can do very quick math, I might be able to. So we have officially Jacob Benoit is your champion, followed by Jared House, Will Boyle, Joel Gallant, Levi Moulton, Jack O'Connell, and Roy McGarvey to round out the top 7.
Let's see if we can do some quick math on the calculator.
So we have Jared at a 2, William Boyle at a 3, Ben Parrott as a 8, and Isaac Call as a 9. And then their last score